Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In previous sections of the discussion on this paper on crisis in Islamic economics, we have seen that the modern discipline of Islamic economics has been shaped by the battle between the revolutionary idealists of the first generation and the pragmatists of the second generation. Now in this section 5, we will discuss some of the common objections by the pragmatic generation to the revolutionary ideals of the first generation. So the three main classes of objections can be summarized as follows. When we accuse the pragmatists of mixing up the concepts of modern economics, which are capitalistic, with the ideals of Islam, they say that modern economics is purely positive. It just describes the world as we see it. It's like the laws of physics. And Islam is normative. So we can mix the two of them together. One is to describe the reality and the other is to try to achieve the ideal norms of Islam. So there is no objection to mixing modern economics to Islamic economics. The second objection is that, look, we are living in this world, and first, before we talk about spiritual ideals, we need to provide food to the people and basic education and needs, and these are the things which the Western methodologies are very good at. So take care of the material needs first and then build on that foundation for spiritual progress. And the third major objection is that these things that we are talking about, the revolutionary ideals, the spiritual development, these were good for the time of the Sahaba. They were superheroes of Islam. In these days, we have to be pragmatic. People cannot live like the Sahaba so we have to live with the world, modern reality as it is, and we have to compromise with the current times. So these are the three major objections. Consider the first objection, that modern economics is positive and Islamic economics is normative. So we can actually put the two of them together. So the truth is that modern economics is normative and just pretends to be positive. So one of the clear and explicit and open norms in economics is the idea that rational behavior is maximizing the pleasure that you get from consumption of goods and services. This basically sets the goal of life to be the maximization of pleasure. Similarly, the private property concept embodied in economic theory without any discussion is the capitalist concept, which says that I have exclusive rights, and it's not the concept of property as a trust to be held for the others, for later generations, and with social responsibility. Basically, the rationality norm rejects everything without empirical evidence, so it rejects God, afterlife, angels, judgment, etc. So empirical studies show that students of economics learn to be selfish. It's wrong to think of Islamic economics as being normative. It is actually three-dimensional. It is descriptive. It explains that man has certain characteristics. He has driven by greed and by selfishness and by the desire for worldly goods. But it also describes an ideal situation that man can achieve, rise above this. He can become ahsan taqweem from asfala safilin. And it also explains the process, the transformative process by which we can change the positive description to the ideal. And so basically Islam is all about the struggle, the process of transforming the real on the ground reality to the ideals of Islam. So this page provides a link to some blog posts and articles which provide a deeper discussion of this issue. The second objection is that in order to take care of the needs of the Ummah, we need to put the material needs first. We need to make sure that everybody has bread to eat, and then only we can take care of their spiritual needs. The simple answer to this is that this does not match the strategy that was adopted by our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he is the model of excellence in conduct. He focused on transforming the lives of the people, the beliefs and the actions of the mu'mineen And this internal spiritual transformation which occurred in the characters of the Sahaba, this is what led to the external revolution. And the same strategy is valid today. If we create an environment which allows human beings to excel and to develop their inner potential, then they can change the world. So we must focus on human development rather than focusing on achieving material prosperity first. So this page provides the links to 2 papers on topics which further develop this idea. The third objection is that we need to deal with on-the-ground realities, concrete and practical details, and the utopian visions of 14 centuries ago are not relevant for our guidance today. So it's a pragmatic approach, the step by step, taking into account where we are rather than trying to fly when we haven't learned how to walk. So to answer this, we have to look at the historical reality, how the complete and perfect message of Islam created a revolution in history. Allah Ta'ala himself has called it the greatest gift that he has given to mankind. This gift, the teachings of Islam, took ignorant and backwards Bedouin from the bottom ranks of civilization to world leaders. So the question is, has this message lost its power, or does it have the same power today? Today again, the Muslims are ignorant and backwards and bottom ranks of world civilizations. So can we use the teachings of Islam to launch a revolution today? So if we take seriously the possibility that Islamic teachings can have the same revolutionary potential today, many deep and difficult problems arise. If we have the perfect message of God, then why are Muslims backwards? Also, if we look at the power and the glory of the West, it seems obvious that today we must learn from them. But what the message they have to teach us has nothing in common with Islam. So this creates a dilemma, that if the Quran is complete and perfect, then why do we need to borrow from the West? These problems cannot be resolved easily, and so I have provided a link to a set of 9 lectures on how to launch an Islamic revolution, which discuss and explain many different aspects of these complex issues. But the real key to answering all of the pragmatic objections is to understand that Islam is not about achieving particular outcomes. It is about the process, it's about the journey and not the destination. At every moment, we are required to take the action which is the most pleasing to Allah. And if we do that for the sake of the love of Allah, then we have already succeeded. And it does not matter whether the steps we take lead to successful worldly outcomes or not. We can become shaheed, or we can become ghazi, we can become victorious, or we can lose the earthly battle, but in any case we will win the real battle which we are in. So once we realize that this is about process, then many of the objections which pragmatists raise to trying to follow high ideals disappear.